I was telling my friends that every day for the past like 2 years, my mantra has been, "You have nothing, you are nothing." That's what I say to myself as soon as I wake up every day.
You're the opposite of affirmations.
Yeah, negative
Disaffirmation.
affirmation.
Yeah.
Negative affirmation.
You ain't nothing. You're never gonna be nothing. Go have a good day.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget you're falling.
Dude, that is cool. That's ultimate humbleness, you know? Shedding of the ego. Dude, the ego is cool because they say that the ego is why you don't, like, die. You know what I mean? Because you're like, yo, I should exist. You know what I mean? But you're shedding ego.
That's interesting. You're saying like ego is responsible for like self-preservation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's like that thing, everything you do is self-serving. Like even when you help others, you're like getting dopamine from that.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny how that works. And then you go to Taco Bell and they're like, you want to donate to schools? I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, you're a dick.
No.
Yeah. I don't do that because the corporation's using your money for their tax write-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should get that tax write-off.
Yeah.
You donate that money.
Yeah. I think show me the kid. I'll give it straight to the kid.
Yeah, just give the kid.
Yeah, they should have just kids on deck. Just, hey, this is the food. Yeah, I guess that's true.
But they don't get the money.
Yeah, charity.
Yeah, charity is interesting.
That'd be cool. I mean, that would just make sense. You know, you can make enough money, you give enough of it away, you get like a rebate on it at the end. You know?
Yeah. It gets kind of sketchy in some places, but it's pretty cool for the most part. I think it's not a bad thing to do.
Yeah. Well, like that's the Clintons, dude, like the Haiti shit. You know how they ripped off all this money from Haiti, and then like the worst end of it is that they stole children to sell it to slavery and shit.
Yikes.
Sorry,
no, that's,
charity, because that's where it goes to charity.
Yeah, charity. That's like the Red Cross, and like how most of the money doesn't make it.
The Red Cross. So it's the Crusades, right? Huh? You know. Spreading Christianity throughout the world. Why is it a cross?
Is that their thing?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, the Red Cross, I guess it's like to
That is interesting.
But like the
symbol for like health is a cross.
Yeah, well, it's very Christian. The health.
But it's not the same kind of cross as a Christian cross.
No, of course.
It's more of like a T.
The Crusades one was like skinny in the beginning and then like wide at the ends. It was like more classic. But just the idea that the cross is coming in to help you, like that's ancient. You know what I mean? That's old as hell. Yeah. That's been around.
What's the deal with that symbol? That symbol dates, bro.
That is the whole thing. I mean, it's United symbol. Yeah. I don't know. It is funny. There's just symbols in general. How like symbols last throughout time. Like the things that people have drawn in caveman times have lasted to now.
Yeah, and even that like shape still means something to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, symbols are pretty cool. I mean, like everything's symbols, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
All that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I always like about talking about like language and shit. That there's like words of that old like stoner shit. Like words are just sounds, and those sounds have meanings, and we gave them arbitrarily. You know,
but
it's
is
like
it arbitrary though? That is what trips me out about stuff, because every time you dig in the etymology of a word, it's like rooted way back.
Yeah, I can't take etymologies; they hit me too hard.
I had an etymology once, and I was just
I always had to go to the doctor. I thought I was dying.
I was speaking ancient languages.
They felt me drawing on cave walls.
I make a joke. Well, my friends and I have a joke because of a story of somebody like getting too high and then being like, the numbers. Or just being haunted by symbols.
Yeah, well, that's a perfect symbol. The number. Numbers.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, like the Nazi symbol. You know, like.
Well, it's just
the Hindu symbol.
Yeah. It's an ancient symbol. Also.
Oh, that's just cool, and that reflects on words too. Is that like they change, like their meanings change.
Yeah.
With like
they can be co-opted.
Co-opted. They can be reinterpreted. You know.
Yeah.
Because like. So at some point, symbols are like agreements.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're agreeing that WORD means word, and that means what I just said right now, and we all agreed to that word. Yeah, exactly.
No. those things that gets me too. Like, I guess it's confusing me. I can't even say anything.
Yeah.
Like, words get so like general where I'm like, fuck. That's what I was saying about like the etymology and the root word. Like when you start digging into this word, like it goes all the way back to like fucking all the way.
Yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean?
like-
our language is Latin based.
Yeah. Well, even even further, it goes to like I just learned about like the ancient, like where Genghis Khan is from, the steppe. That was like one of the ancient civilizations.
Okay.
And like all of language comes out of like the Indo-European dialect that is that like literally all the Western languages and all the Chinese languages they all come out of that part of Asia where humans first kind of developed.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mesopotamia.
yeah, and dude, this fucking ancient Sumer, dude. They like started writing on little clay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's
money.
Yeah, money. One of the first things was like a receipt or
Yeah. Knowing how much stuff you got in this clay jar.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking inventory.
Inventory.
You know,
Yeah.
and you can make connections between commerce, the economy, and the progression of human civilization.
No. I mean,
that's like
That's why-
they're not. You can't have one without the other.
you kind of can't. Like, value is important for society.
Yeah, trade, like commerce, like trading
Yeah.
throughout people. People will always be like exchanging stuff.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah,
No, I don't know. Sorry.
yeah. My exes change all the time.
My ex changed.
My ex changed. It got me sad.
Sad face symbol.
Sad face symbol. Boom. A crying face symbol.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. What?
I think symbols are too big of a conversation. I'm like,
Nah, I mean,
no, I'm just in general like.
well, I've always been weird about words. Like when I first started doing acid and mushrooms and stuff, that was like one of the first things my mind came to terms with, was like all there is words. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I want to convey something to you, I have to use my words. Like I guess you can if you know someone, you can know what they're feeling like, but you'll never truly know what I mean, ever. No one will ever truly know what anybody means. That's why great art is beautiful. Great, like writing and because it conveys something that is almost either through words or like uncommunicable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's one of the things that I love about like acid and shrooms and stuff is like when you're in a regular situation with somebody else who's on that same wave, and you can do that thing where you're like, you know what I mean? And
Right.
both of us are like,
Yeah.
this person's weird.
Yeah.
I know what's going on, and I know you know what's going on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's deeper than that's intuition, right?
I don't know what that is. That goes into like a lot of stuff when we're talking about like consciousness and stuff.
Shared experience.
Like shared, because if you think about the collective consciousness, and if you think like what like the old Greeks would say about like, I say this all the time, like you never learn anything, you remember it.
Right.
Like if there's this like pond of human consciousness and knowledge, and those are moments of just like that kind of shared.
It's interesting.
Relation.
That's interesting. My natural instinct is to like push against that thought, because that suggests that's like more on a spiritual thing of like the essence of you is really outside of you and it's
Right.
being channeled.
Yeah, well, dude, I don't have to turn it into alien shit, but I was listening to, the master, Mr. Rogan,
Okay.
and he was talking, because they had Chris Stefano and Giannis Papas on, and I love those two boys.
Right. Yeah.
And then but he was talking about like he played like this old recording of this dude that got interviewed that used to work for like Area 51 and came out and like this guy interviewed him, whatever. And then he said like one of the texts that he thought was unusual is that they had like this whole section on religion, and that like there's a part of what aliens, I guess, feel about us as like what religion serves as us,
Okay.
because they view us as containers. Like our physical self is a container for something and whatever.
Wait, who said this?
This guy that used to work for like the government
okay,
and shit.
got it.
He's saying that he's seen documents that is because they communicated with aliens and they said that aliens see us as containers of something. And that to me is also like because that's like the Carl Jung shit of like collective consciousness, that we're all just like physical representations of consciousness.
Right.
Because I love thinking about like you were saying about material. Like I'm just like human material through 31 years.
Yeah.
And I grew into this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I fuck with that. But like what is in like the thing that makes me think is like very like consciousness, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that kind of making those kind of gel is very interesting to me.
I have a very like mold outlook on this kind of thing. That's like, because something happened. Yeah, sure. It was like, I mean, because this starts getting into like destiny and stuff to me, because like, how are you? Yeah, because like you're like how you grew, like a plant.
Well, destiny imposes like a desired outcome that will be attained. Like,
Well,
what if there is no like? What if it's like it's not like a sniper? It's like a shotgun.
I get very like practical about this kind of thing. So I'm like, no matter what's happening, even if it's all spiritual stuff, it still has physical, like, there's still
I don't
physical
know if
things
it's
happening.
spiritual.
Well,
See, that's what we always kind of come to.
the collective consciousness thing.
Is that?
I am gonna, if we're talking about outside, that's what I was saying. If the essence of you is outside of yourself,
I guess it goes back to language, huh? Because spiritual has its own negative connotation. You know what I mean?
You're right. You're right.
You know, because if you call something spiritual, it's at this point it's so relative to religion and God.
Yeah. Well, what could we? What?
I
you
don't
wanna
know,
make up a new
dude.
word
Like
for
just
it?
well, like universal math. You want to say universal math is spiritual?
The hell's universal math? You're
Well,
talking about like
like hexagons
yeah,
and
yeah,
you
you're
know what I
talking
mean?
about,
The God ratio, all that shit.
God.
I don't know what it's called.
There's a stupid like word for it. All right, I know exactly what
You know what I'm
talking
talking about? Like that, like the normal ones and zeros of the universe that you see in atoms and everything, and like the way you're made up of the same
Something
elements.
geometry.
Yeah.
What's it called? I wanna.
That shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry, that stuff. Like
Oh.
I wouldn't say, they call it sacred.
Yeah.
First off.
Yeah.
But that's going back to words, like that's words putting this connotation on something. Where it
This
doesn't.
is where I get stonery, and I'm like, there's something else happening, bro.
Yeah.
That's when I start getting in. You didn't watch Westworld, huh?
No.
Do you know what it's about?
Yeah, it's like cloned. They go to like
They built like a robot
dimension.
world.
Yeah.
And it's not another.
It's like a simulation
You're
style.
talking about like stuff that happens in the. But yeah, they built like a real world Grand Theft Auto with robots that they rebuild.
Christopher Walken.
But there's one guy who's like, there's a secret to this game, like, and he's like, there's a different way to play, and like he's going and he like scalps this dude, and there's like a maze on the dude's scalp, and he's like, we gotta find, like, I'm trying to find the maze, and like, there was like layers to this thing, you know what I mean? And so when we start talking about sacred geometry and we start talking about all that stuff, and I'm like, and I start thinking about like the ancients, and then you got these pyramids all over the fucking ancient world with the caps missing and like all that kind of stuff. It gets kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I started being like that Freemason shit where they're like doing all of this like Greek, like these fools are building temples and building fucking like Colosseums and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, is it possible for somebody to use math and shapes to like do some fucking have you ever, this is crazy, okay, this is crazy pseudoscience.
Okay, yeah.
But have you ever heard about how like the Star of David is like a 2D image of pyramids that are in that shape, and so it's like a 3D like pointy ball thing. Cool. And that's what Jewish people use to get here from Mars.
Is that real?
It's like a thing about like an ancient civilization using that shape to like that's a powerful shape.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's what was tripping me out about like the pyramid cap being gone.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, because it's
Yeah.
supposedly it was like a fucking teleportation
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
in
Well,
the pseudoscience nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't
you
believe
know, whatever it is, this is like
Yeah.
physics.
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
Like, no matter what it is, even if it is spiritual, even if God's real, this is one thing I used to say. If God was real, if heaven was real, hell, if those things existed, they would still exist on some type of material plane.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's a thing somewhere.
Yeah.
It's gotta
Yeah.
exist, right?
Yeah.
If it exists, it exists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like alternate dimension
Yeah,
shit.
even
Like,
if you're just like a undefined gaseous
yeah.
thing, like
Yeah.
that thing is made of something.
Yeah.
It's got elements
Yeah.
and stuff. It's composed.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like bridging that gap. That's what I just listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson like mode somebody.
Yeah.
but what he was saying
He's
is
a
like how
freaking nerd.
He is.
He sucks.
But he was just quoting somebody that was talking about how God is an ever receding pocket. And like of ignorance. Hell yeah.
I'm gonna try to get there, G.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
trying
going
to get
to.
there.
It's just getting tighter and tighter. But yeah, that's what he was saying. Like as you learn,
He's so horny.
gets smaller and smaller, basically.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean I definitely agree with that, but that gives me, that's also hope to me, because I don't see, like when I think of sacred geometry, that makes me feel good because it feels like everything exists on this plane that is somehow understood by something. You know what I mean? Like we, because we're
true.
we're like physical people, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, we only interpret time in one way. We only interpret experience one way. Like, that's my whole idea about, like, knowledge and why I'm so skeptical about stuff in
Same.
science.
Yeah.
Because it's like my body can only interpret the universe through this physical, like, my senses, my eyes, my ears, my feeling. So, like, understanding that, you know, if, like, you know, I know it's fucking gay as hell, but like when you see pictures of like your eye veins and you see lightning, you know, and you see the pictures of
Fractals.
leaves, you know, you like see these like congruence, like,
Yeah,
you know, that stuff to me is whatever someone thinks God is, that stuff.
This is why I evoked destiny, because I was like, I think that these things happen this way. Like, that's why I said mold, because it's
if
like,
you look at the ivy,
yeah, it's not like somebody like designed the pattern. You know what I mean? It just has parameters.
yeah, but one wouldn't call the growth of this ivy destiny.
Well,
You know?
it becomes its destiny once it fulfills that.
Well, again, this is the words. Well, like, because like destiny implies that you have this path that you're intended to be on, where if you think about all growth as intention itself, then no matter what happens is quote unquote destiny. You know what I mean? There is no destiny because all things are destiny, if that's the case.
Right, but you're thinking of time being like the burning tip of a thing. Instead of it being like what
Yeah, like this.
is proposed, that like the future already kind of exists and we're
Right.
playing it out.
Well, if that's the case, then everyone has like 1,000 destinies, you know?
And really not, because the choices that you make are the only
Ones that you perceive immediately.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. That's the thing. I don't understand
That's
how
quantum physics pretty much, right? Like
That's
interdimensional
like
shit.
kind of what we're talking about, string theory stuff.
Yeah.
But
So I don't really know nothing about. I tried so
it's
hard to
been
learn about
disproven,
string
like,
theory.
it's unfalsifiable. You know, it's one of those things that like we can't really say yes or no on it. It's like simulation theory.
Yeah.
Like there's no way for us to know whether or not it's simulation theory. So
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
that makes it not simulation theory to me.
Right.
If we can never figure out that it's simulation theory, then
Yeah.
it's not simulation theory.
Right.
No matter what, well, it's just still real to me.
Dude, I've never fucked with simulation theory. I think it's so stupid.
I think it's silly.
I think it's like, because it's the same thing as like what God is to me, where it's like at one
Yeah.
time, whoever the popular idea was God, and it was like, this controls our lives.
Well-
and now the popular idea is technology, and people are like, this controls our lives. Before it was in the 90s, it was the government, and they're like, this controls our lives.
The thing is that it's misguided. Like the actual simulation theory isn't like everything's a computer and there's like we're just being programmed in a thing.
Yeah.
The actual simulation theory says that if we are able to create a simulation of reality, if our computers can get to a place where they can create a simulation of reality, then the chances of society already doing that like goes up, like kind of exponentially at some point. And then it says it like goes on, it expands on that where it's like if this isn't base reality, if there's like one step from base reality, then there's the chances of that being base reality is like close to zero. Like that it'll be infinitely up and down simulations. Because a simulation is going to be created by a simulation.
Yeah.
Like that's where I get into the fractals destiny thing, where I'm like, you get to a certain point in your existence as an entity where you're like, I think I can make little me's.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I think I can make even little me'ers, even little me'er.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that thing is like, I think I can make a little me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that reminds me of that Rick and Morty episode where they make a universe, and then in the universe, the guy makes a universe.
That's exactly what that's a simulation theory like explained.
Yeah.
Like, that if you make a fucking simulation, your simulation's gonna make a simulation.
Yeah. And then you're probably
doesn't fall far
simulated.
from the tree.
Yeah.
Have you seen that meme? This is like a kind of a switch in conversation because of the Apple comment. But have you seen that meme where it's like Isaac Newton with Apple, and then it like shows him like it shows the apple, and then it shows him with like the gravitational field of like Earth and like propose all this shit, and it's like me with Apple, and then it's like the apple and then the sticker on the forehead. And he's like smiling. The sticker on his forehead from the apple.
Isaac Newton was smiling?
No, it was CJ from San Andreas. It looks so funny. I gotta show it to you later. But yeah, dude, that base reality stuff drives me crazy because I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah, and also, who cares?
That's the thing. That's the Isaac Newton's flaming laser sword.
Yeah,
if it can't be discussed scientifically, we can't prove or disprove it, then it's not worth even arguing.
Yeah, why are we even talking about it?
Yeah. That has nothing to do with our reality.
Yeah, absolutely. See, that's interesting because that, like you can say that about religion, right? Like religion doesn't impact our reality, so why even discuss it? But
that's
then
like the agnostic apathist, is that what they're called?
Yeah, but one would argue that, I mean, you look at Palestine, the religion is very tangibly a part of our everyday lives, you know, like war is religious. So like that, it kind of clears the threshold. Like when does it become?
These are different things.
I don't
The
know.
religion isn't affecting the world. It's the political backlash from it's the politics and the social part that's having issues.
Right, but like if you think about like God,
Right.
like no one can ever understand God. So like why even talk about it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yet people are fighting wars over God. So at that point, it is part of our life.
You're not wrong.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then it becomes not the idea of the existence of God. It becomes the idea of like, should one person condemn another person for not believing in whatever they thought?
But then this comes full circle, kind of like we're no longer talking about existence or nature of reality. Now we're talking about a symbol of God.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're talking about God as a symbol and the implications of your social. Like
your interpretation of that symbol, social, like in your
but like
immediate world.
your the place you live in affects your religion. You know.
Yeah.
It's like somebody was saying. It's like how Christians aren't born. Like there's no Christians born in like Muslim countries.
Right.
You know what I mean? Most of the people that are born in Muslim countries are Muslim.
Right. Well, what does that have to do with it?
Well, like they're born in this place, and so they come up with that as it's a societal norm.
Sure.
You know, like we have a Judeo-Christian society.
Excuse me?
Our America is like, you know.
You said Jew really hard.
Well, I mean, it's the same place.
Oh shit!
It's talking about the same place. But yeah, our rules and laws come from those Jewish traditions and those old Christian Jewish things.
Right.
You know, the Torah.
Right.
You know? That's why we believe murder is bad, because of God and Christianity.
Right.
Not to say that we wouldn't have come to that without it.
Right. I mean,
But
I'm
that's
pretty
why-
sure
that's
we're
the-
not the first people to be like, yo, murder's bad.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're probably right. But it's just the reason we're this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's places
then
where
that-
murder's not bad.
But then at that point, I feel like then religious is almost, you have to discuss it because it is so part of real life. Even though that the question
Yes.
is what God is or not, the impact of religion is like very much.
Again, I believe that these are two separate things. The symbol of God and your society's rules that you apply
Right.
from that belief system
Yeah.
that you're using to control.
Right.
That's why, to me, that's why I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit off religion, because it's a system of control to me. It's not worried about the nature of existence. They don't care about
Yeah.
where God comes from or what's going on with that.
Right.
In religion, you know, they tell you not, in Christianity that I grew up in anyways, they tell you straight up not to question God.
Right. Same.
You're not supposed to be like, what's up with God?
Yeah, right. And
You
Jews like to do that. Jews go to their rabbi and they chat it out. They yap up.
That's one thing I really do like about Jewish stuff, is that like they understand like man gets confused. And in my religion,
Oh, they
there's
love complaining.
I think that's great. It's built into the religion.
Yeah.
Comedy also, you know, like
What?
like jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's jokes in the Talmud or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Talmud. I don't know how to say
Yeah.
it. But they have like there's humor in it.
Yeah.
You know, where like there ain't that when I grew up there was no humor in
Yeah,
that.
the Old Testament.
Yeah,
Zero
mockery,
humor.
blasphemy.
Yeah.
My mom, when I was a little boy, she was like, because I made a joke one time in church, and my mom was like, if you mock God, you'll go to hell.
Yeah. I want to
There's no
fucking kill you.
forgiveness.
I will kill
God, that's the one thing God doesn't forgive. That's what my mom told me.
you. Yeah.
That was our timer.
Yeah.
So, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching our.